Mr. Transformers 96 here with another video review. This time we're talking about some of the newly shown Transformers figures from Hasbro in their new Studio Series line. So luckily they are continuing with this line in full force, and I couldn't be more excited about it. I've made videos in the past talking about like my top 5, dream figures for the Studio Series, and they have made a few of the figures in that dream list that I made. So I couldn't be any happier. They're really checking off all the boxes, and they seem to kind of be going a bit in order as far as movies are concerned, where they're kind of hitting Revenge of the Fallen. So hopefully, by the end of next year, they will start to hit Dark of the Moon, because there are certainly some figures that I'd love to see them make from that film. But there are certainly plenty that they can make from Revenge of the Fallen, and they are delivering. So in this video, I'm just going to be talking about the Constructicons that have been shown. I'm going to make a separate video about Devastator, so if you want my thoughts on that, that's going to be a separate video. This will just be the 3 Constructicons that were shown. So starting off, we have Longhaul. Now Longhaul was a figure it's a character that they've already made a figure of, and I think it's a pretty good figure that they made of him. So I've always loved that figure, and I used it to make an Onslaught custom, but they have done it again and have done it better. This is looking like a fantastic Longhaul figure. Just about perfection, actually, to be honest. We do have official images and we have in-person images. I will be showing you both for all 3 of these figures. But here with Longhaul, I think it looks great. My only issue is that the panels on the arms look a bit bulky. Those look, a little bit distracting, and the fingers look a little stiff. But overall, I think it looks great. And one thing that I didn't like about the other Longhaul figure was the fact that the way that his elbow bent, it bent inward almost. So he would, if you had his elbows bent forward, his hands would have to be like palms out, which just look kind of strange. So I'm glad that they fixed that. The legs look properly bulky, which is great, and then the torso looks excellent. The head looks less like it's been it looks more prominent and not so like it's squeezed into the body, which is nice. And then the back pieces all do look like they're arranged really well. Here he is in person. As you can see, he looks just as good as in person. Some of the black is actually, it pops a lot more in person, in my opinion, which I think actually looks really cool. Now, one thing that's a little disappointing as far as the vehicle is concerned is the top of the vehicle. You can see a bunch of the robotic pieces. They don't have it flat like the last version, but I have to say, personally, I could care less, because I'm not going to display him as a dump truck. So I could only care about the vehicle or the robot mode on him, just a slightly different angle. And then there's a shot of the vehicle, and from the front of the vehicle you can kind of see it like that, so it looks pretty decent. Next up, we'll talk about Scrapmetal. Alright, so here's Scrapmetal. So this is a character that we never see transformed in the film. We see his vehicle mode, though. It is within like the 7 vehicle modes that are on the field when Devastator is formed, if I'm not mistaken. There is concept art for this guy, and this figure looks very close to that concept art. But overall, this is the first time we're getting a figure of him, and of course, he was never shown in the film itself. So I think it's very odd that they are doing him. Although I'm a little unsure if they're making all the Constructicons, or how that Devastator figure is going to be actually sold, because it seems like these figures are able to transform and make the pieces of Devastator that we see that fit into Devastator. So I'm a little confused as to how Devastator is going to be sold. There's a possibility they'll make all the other Constructicon figures, but if they're only making these 3, then this is a really odd choice to go with, personally. I would have preferred Scrapper, but overall I think that this one does look good. He's not fantastic. I'm not huge on the design. I don't really like the fact that his hands are just the scoops for his vehicle. I think that's a little The face sculpt looks pretty good. The face definitely looks like it's very Michael Bay-like. It looks Revenge of the Fallen-esque, and then the coloring looks decent on him. A little bit too much yellow. Would have liked the black and gray to be sprayed in there a little bit more. So, but overall, he does look good. This is a deluxe figure, so of course it is smaller and not as well detailed as the other 2, because the other 2 are Voyagers. But this is a deluxe figure, and here's what he transforms into. One of those kind of crane scoop things. I don't know specifically what they're called, but here he is in person. As you can see, in person, I actually think that he looks quite nice. But there's a lot of black on his face. He looks a little strange just from this angle here. Don't know if we have a better shot of him. You get a little bit better shot of the scoop here, but yeah, this is like the only fair shot of him on display. Overall, he's a little underwhelming, in my opinion. It's cool that they're making him, since they've never made him before, but the figure and character himself are a little underwhelming in the figure form, and then in the movie, of course, you don't even see him. So out of all the Constructicons, this is the one that I really didn't know about from the movie. I think that even the ones that weren't shown, like Hightower and Overload, I was more familiar with than this one. So it's an odd version, but hey, it does look decent, and I'll definitely be picking it up. I'd love to get like a full set of Constructicons in their robot modes. That'd be super cool. And then next up, and lastly, at the moment, we have Rampage. As you can see here, he is in the vehicle mode. Now this is a character that they've made a figure of before, they absolutely have, but it was really in need of an update because there were some major things that were wrong about it. First of all, the size wasn't great. It was a deluxe, which works, but Rampage is a big character in the film. If you actually watch it, particularly with his fight with Bumblebee, he's quite a bit bigger than Bumblebee, and yet when he's a deluxe, he's basically the same size as Bumblebee toy-wise. So to have a Voyager, I think is more suiting for his size. I also think that he had a lot of room for updates, particularly his hands. His hands weren't very accurate at all, and didn't feature the guns. This one, the hands are a lot more accurate. They do feature like these little gun pieces, but they're way too small. They look a little strange. So personally, the guns they didn't really fix, but the fingers themselves are completely nice and accurate. The way that he stands, kind of on that pogo stick type of design, I think that looks very good. And I like the little base that he comes with. The little base isn't too big and it's not too obtrusive, but it seems to do the trick of standing him well, which is great. I think the head sculpt looks awesome too, and I like that he can kind of look to the side. That was something that the original one really couldn't do. It was very restricted as to look forward or to tilt his head. This one can kind of actually look to the side, which is neat. In person though, he doesn't look great. In person, as you can see here, he looks very strict, like very rigid when it comes to his arms. His arms just look really just like blocks. I don't believe that he's like fully transformed here. Obviously, they don't have the tread pieces like split out like they do in this image, so it just kind of gives his arms this kind of blocked look, which is really weird. And the coloring doesn't look great either. Like the red is a little deeper here. In person, at least in this image, it doesn't look great. Like the contrast between the red and black is really extreme and a little overwhelming, but overall, I'm very happy with this figure. I'm very excited to get this one because I really do like Rampage from the film, and to get this version would be very cool. Just to give you a little shot of like the three of them together essentially. So here they all are. Overall, really excited for all of these. Can't wait to get them. If you are going to need these figures to build Devastator, I'm absolutely going to buy them. I'll actually buy two of them, to be honest, because Devastator, I want a full Devastator, and then any of the figures from him that transform into robots, I want them as well. So I will definitely be buying two of them if they are actually going to be combining with Devastator. But overall, I think that these look excellent. I really hope they do more Constructicons, which they very well might. So, I'd love to see Scrapper, because he was featured in the movie, and we've never had a figure of him, so Scrapper would be excellent. Mixmaster is my favorite Constructicon, and the Mixmaster figure that we have is really great, so like I don't see a whole lot of room for improvement, but that's what I thought about Longhaul, and the Longhaul that they're showing now looks amazing and does look like an improvement. So although there's not much room for improvement, I'm sure they could do some stuff to upgrade Mixmaster, and he's my favorite, so of course I'd love another opportunity for them to redefine that figure as well, so that would be great too. And then, although they'd be on the same level as Scrapmetal here, which like there's concept art for them, and their vehicles were shown, and they're a part of Devastator, but we never see them in robot mode. Is it Overload? No, it's Overdrive. Overdrive and Hightower. Those two would be neat ones to see. Although I'm not a big fan of how Hightower looks in robot mode in the concept art. He just doesn't have a very interesting look. So the two of them, I could live without them, to be honest. Like I could live without Scrapmetal here as well. But it still would be cool to see them. And then Demolisher would be the only other one that would be really nice to get. And he is in desperate need of a redo as well. Similar to Rampage, he's too small and he's the wrong color. So to give him like a leader class, update and have him white like he should be is something that would be very cool. And I think they could do a lot with it, especially since the original one is a really cool figure, but it has some limited articulation, so they could fix some of those problems. But there you go. That's my thoughts on the new Constructicon figures shown from the Studio Series. I'm incredibly excited for all of these. Like literally, these are really mind-blowing to me. I'm very happy that this line exists, and I'm extremely happy and surprised at some of the characters that they're deciding to do, but I certainly couldn't be any happier about it. So yeah, so let me know what you guys think of Longhaul, Scrapmetal, and Rampage. If you want to hear my thoughts on Devastator, that will be a separate video, and I will be making several other videos talking about all the other Studio Series figures that have been shown, because they did show quite a few awesome ones. So there you go, that's my thoughts on these three, and thanks so much for watching.